Well, welcome. Greetings and salutations, test takers. This is the Guru, Series 7 Guru, aka Dean Tenney, joined by our very special guest, the Test Geek himself, Brian Lee, Managing Member, Test Geek Exam Prep LLC. Welcome to our weekly live stream Q&A. So we take care of some housekeeping. Tell us what exam you're taking, where you're joining us from. And once we get the housekeeping underway, out of the way, we will then start answering your questions. We always like to start with some debrief, if available. And we do have somebody who just took the Series 7 the other day. Now, remember, every draw is different. So, don't be counting on somebody's draw. We're wishing for you a dream draw. Everything you studied shows up, and you go, man, I don't know what the big deal was. But you have to overlearn and be prepared to take down any kind of a draw. I get this all the time, Brian. Lots of preferred stock in all scenarios and situations. I have so many people tell me they had more preferred stock questions than they were expecting. And I don't really know how to respond to that because I don't know what they were expecting. I mean, be ready for preferred stock. Definitely, it's preferential treatment and dividends, preferential treatment and liquidation, the difference between cumulative and non-cumulative or straight. Only 2 margin questions, always what people say. Not make or break. Had an income statement question he wasn't expecting. Options were mainly multiple strategies, straddles and spreads, profit and loss. Only 1 break-even calculation, no max gain, but 2 separate questions on short call scenarios. Well, remember, if the short call is a covered call, you don't participate past the strike. And if it's a naked call, you have a limited loss. He had 2 import-export questions that Epic was able to answer. Epic is our memory aid device for those kind of questions. It stands for exporters buy puts, importers buy calls from the U.S. perspective. He said a lot. He said this twice, a lot of preferred cumulative convertible questions. He said he had participating preferred. Participating allows you to participate in earnings beyond some stipulated amount. He's saying he had conversion ratios, and he's saying he thinks he had about 10 of them with various scenarios. Now, I would add as my addendum to that is that usually what people aren't prepared for, I don't know if he passed, but, they say they had 100 of them. Right? I had 100 options. And then people are prepared for them and say, I had no options. And I go, oh, well, which is it, right? Which is it? That's all right. So this is available as a podcast weekly on Spotify and YouTube. So you can find us if you missed this for some reason. You can find us as a podcast. We also have a series Brian and I did on the Series 65 joint podcast. That's available as well on both YouTube and Spotify. If you have a question, once we get into the question format, it's helpful if you tell us what exam you're taking, followed by a Q, so we know what your question is. We can distinguish that between the chat going on and other things. Let's see. Discount code. Brian put it up there on the board for you. Brian has been kind enough to do 2 things for our viewers. He allows me to use his content on the channel so you can get a free look at what I think are the best practice tests out there on the various exams. And you can hit pause, answer, hit play, see how you do. And then I explain it a little different than Brian does. But you can get that exam itself as a PDF for $20. You can get his class notes for 40. I think it's 40 with the discount. And then all in on his videos, which includes everything, including his video course. I think it's like 100 with that 20% discount. Kaplan, any Kaplan product service, you can use my Guru 10 to get a 10% discount on that. Kaplan does contract with me to teach some of their classes, and I am teaching their Series 66 a little late tomorrow morning, so probably not going to work. I just finished the 9. The next 10 I'll be doing will be June 30th. And then Q3, I do SIE the first month, a 7 the second month, and a 66 the following. We do a drawing at the end of our time together for a coaching call or a scholarship for one of our classes. The channel, the best way to access what you need on the channel is through the series playlist. You find your series, hit the playlist, and you find your videos and suggested watch order. All right, so let's see what we got going on in the comments. Happy Tuesday, Trina. Happy Tuesday. Small town Buffalo. I've been to Buffalo. I mean, it's smaller than other places in New York, but it's still reasonable sized city, I think. Happy Wednesday. Am I missing something? I think it's Tuesday. I think. There you go. You're welcome, Liam. You're welcome. All right. The first testing victory. So what's your next testing victory? Is it going to be a Series 6 or a Series 7 for your next testing victory? I always want to tell people it's always better to start out with that first testing victory. And hopefully you did execute a good study plan, because there's going to be a lot of overlap. So it behooves you to do well as much as you can on that base, on that study for your SIE, because it will pay dividends on both your 6 and your 7. So kudos. Whoop. I don't know how that came up. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of this. Boom. Just pass the SIE. Try 2 on Thursday morning. Any? I'm not sure what you mean. I'm at try 2 on Thursday morning. Any day.
Second attempt.
Oh, I got it. Okay, thank you, Brian. I need Brian sometimes to help.
What I'm here for.
I thought, was that take 2 or try?
Yeah, 2? It took a second for me to kind of register too.
Well, Emmett, I don't know. First thing I would say is get a good night's rest Wednesday, because you want your reading skills to be in top form. So RTFQ, so you can read the full question, and RTFA, you can read the full answer sets and make sure you're understanding what you're being asked and what you're answering. That would be one thing I would add. There's not a whole lot of time to do remediation because tomorrow's Wednesday. I do have him at a day before video that I'll link at 6:53 for you. When you know what my recommendations are the day before. Where is my pen? Let me get my pen out, and I will link to that for you. And basically, it's first do no harm. I'm sure I get a little feedback, Brian. On I think it's either you or me. Day before exam. Well, grin and bear it. No worries. Okay, so Liam, Series 66 question. Not sure. Thank you so much, Liam. That's exactly what we like to see. The exam and the question. Not sure 100% if I'll need it, but it says I do when I Google. I'm not sure what you're asking. Could you explain or calculating yield and maturity? You're not, Liam, going to have to calculate. Worse, Brian.
That's worse? Okay.
Yeah, that's really worse. I might have to boot you if it's that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Oh, that's better right there.
There you go. Okay.
So, Liam, I just had finished a tutoring session with a young man, and we encountered a question where I always say to people, you told me I was going to have to calculate yield and maturity, and here's a question on yield and maturity. I said, well, take a deep breath and say, okay, are they really asking me to calculate yield and maturity? Why would Brian and Dean lead me astray? And what you need to know is where yield and maturity is in relationship, Liam, to the other yields. So in this question, he was asked yield and maturity, but it was a bond at a discount. It had a 6% coupon. And so what he really needed to do was make his teeter-totter or seesaw, flat line representing a bond at par. And his first choice on this bond at a discount said the yield to maturity was 5.5. So, Liam, we should have been able to eliminate that as a choice. By the way, I'll link to a video on what we call the teeter-totter or seesaw. Brian is actually putting that on the board, I think. But anyways, so, Liam, it can't be 5.5% if it's a bond at a discount. And so we got rid of that. Then the second choice he had was that the yield to maturity was 6. And again, it can't be 6 because that would be a bond at a par. So those twos were out. Now they gave us the price, and the price was 89.5. The two remaining choices were 6.7 or something more than 6.7. And so what we did, Liam, is what I told him to do was let's figure out what the current yield is.
Exactly.
And we figured out the current yield was 6.7. So now C is out because we just figured out that's the current yield. And now we have a yield to maturity. So boom, they're not going to make you do the rule of thumb. If you're using Past Perfect as your test prep vendor, I'm sorry, you need a support group. But past perfect is notorious for making people do math that doesn't actually show up on the exam. And please note, this is not a math question. It's a relationship of the yields to the price question. That is fair game. That is fair game. Your comments, Brian, on yield to maturity?
Absolutely. I agree 100%. You don't have to calculate yield to maturity. Again, if you know the concepts, they always teach concepts, not math particularly.
Yeah.
And it's exactly right. It's a relationship question. If you current
Yeah,
yield is the easy one, you know, for a discount, yield to maturity has to be greater than that. There's only one answer choice that satisfies that.
And, you know, like I say, if you think it's a math question, take a deep breath. And I always like to say, is there a hack? Is this really a math question, or is it a disguised relationship question?
Right.
Now, that being said, practical application, you're going to have to do current yield for sure. There's
Yes.
no, you know, you got to be able to do that. So you got to be able to take that 89.5, turn the 6% into $60 and then divide by 895. That's definitely testable. Definitely testable. All right, Simple Mama. Different types of bond quotes. Not really. I think it comes with practice, drilling, and rehearsing. Corporates and munis, remember, trade in eights. That's my minimum spread because all bonds trade over the counter. And then remember, governments trade in 30 seconds. So, you know, 15, 30 seconds, or whatever the case may be. And so it's a percentage of par. A percentage of par is how we do that. And so I think it's practice, drilling, and rehearsing. Remember, the quote is from the bond desk perspective. So that's what we mean by they trade, you know, over the counter negotiated quote driven market. So there you go. So Brian just put a quote up there.
I used to do this in the live class. I don't do it much anymore. That's the percentage of par. That's the basis or yield to maturity.
Yeah, basis is the fancy word.
Usually, right?
Yep.
When the ask is lower than the bid, you know that's a T-bill because it's at a discount. And these are govies that use these decimals that represent a fraction of a 30 seconds. There you go. All your quotes in 32 seconds.
Yeah, I think it's a Simple Mama. If you get this, I'm with Brian. I sometimes don't show it, but if you do, it's going to be an A, B, C, D question.
Yeah.
And they'll say, which of the following is most likely the quote of a T-bill? Or which of the following is most likely the quote of a treasury note or treasury bond? Or which of the following is most likely the quote of a mutual fund where you would see NAV and pop? Or which of the following is most likely the quote of a stock and you'd have a bid and an ask? So it's an A, B, C, D recognition question. You know, when we're talking about these issues, it's not material to your success. What I mean by that, Simple Mama, is if you tell us you messed up on the exam and missed your mark because of quotes, I'm going to say, really? But, you know, I would know that over-the-counter markets are quote driven. I would definitely know that. Bid and ask, and there's a bond desk or a market maker, and New York is auction order driven market. Hi, Cynthia. Hey, Cynthia, I saw you tried to log into what used to be a free paid office hour, but somebody bought a tutoring session. And so free office hour at $220 an hour to tutor somebody. Guess what? Didn't make the cut, the free office hour. But if you are a student like Cynthia, you do get free office hours. There's also a free live stream sometimes offered after this in Zoom. And we are having one of those tonight. It'll be posted as a replay. Then you can decide if you want to join one of those sessions as well. So anyway, Cynthia, I apologize. I think you got a link that was not active when you tried to log in. Welcome, Houston, Texas. Man, Carrington. I've been in Houston where it's been 100 degrees and 100% humidity. I could not live in Houston. and Carrington, it is not a pedestrian-friendly city. You know? I like to walk when I'm teaching walk and get some exercise. God knows I need it, but I don't walk in Houston because you can get mowed over. Yeah, we have a victorious test taker in the house. Did I miss a victorious test taker? Congratulations. I'm missing the congratulations. 7 and 24. Oh, you're going to babysit sevens. I like it. Going to babysit sevens. Jacob, thanks for joining us on LinkedIn. We broadcast to LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And YouTube is the best place to find us because that's where most of the content resides. And then remember, you can also get these as a podcast. Thanks so much for joining us for LinkedIn. Wondering if you heard of anything to be prepared for the 65. with the required passing. Yes, Jacob, I will link to the video. Brian and I made a video that's turned out to be very popular on those choice changes. So on 1509, I will link to the video on Series 65 updates.
I just got an email, Dean, probably 2 hours ago from a gentleman who took the 65 for the second time today. And he said he watched our podcast and he said, you guys are absolutely right. None of the new stuff has been entered on his draw. Probably will at some time eventually kind of work its way in. But he said he saw nothing.
Yeah, and Jacob, be careful because there are urban myths that go around about these things, and it just drives us nuts. So be careful, and make sure you know the flavor of the changes when they do come. So, for example, Brian, I've seen a lot of people rolling out content on digital assets that totally misses the mark of what is going to be testable. As we mentioned last week with Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift asked the investment person's listener, can you assure me this is not an unregistered security? Wow. So the questions about digital assets are not going to be about, do you understand blockchain and cryptocurrencies? That's not going to be the question. The question is going to be, is it a security? That's right. And remember, the whole point of that means, Jacob, it needs to be registered. If it's a security, then we need the qualification, coordination, whatever the case may be. So, Martin, I don't know if you're in the what series, Martin, is that from? I'm not going to go try and get the Kaplan Q Bank right now because it might accidentally shut down the live stream, and I'm just not technically. Well, I wouldn't say I'm not technically competent. I don't have the confidence to do it. Let's put it that way. But I will make a number of that QID. Tell me in the chat what series it is, and I will put up a video explication for that. Or I do go get the Kaplan Q Bank and the live stream session. So I don't know if you've registered for our overtime session tonight. If not, Martin, it's too late. But in the overtime session, I do grab the whiteboard and get the Kaplan Q Bank and go over that. So just tell me what series that is. And I will, after we're done, leave you a little video explication of that. Or if you want, you can put it in the chat and we can handle it here if you'd like. Failed the Series 7 recently. I'm wondering how I should start restudying. So on 1739, I will post my podcast episode. You failed. Is it over? Spoiler alert, it's not. And so I have in that podcast episode, Crystal, 5 steps that you should take immediately after failing. And I will do that for you, and I'll put that there for you in the replay so you can check that out. It's about 20 minutes or so. Don't run from this thing. So, don't blame. I had, on our we have sister communities on Reddit, and our sister communities I kind of like because you can remain anonymous. I'm certainly not, everybody knows it's me. Sometimes they don't, but most of the time they know it's me. Anyways, this guy was just whining, Brian. I mean, oh my God. He was talking about how the test vendor let him down, and going on and on. He said he got a 55%. Listen, that's, if you're using a reputable test vendor, that's on you. That's not on your test vendor. Finally, I told him, I said, I hope this is not the attitude you're having with your supervisor, because that's not what they want to hear, right? They want to hear about course correction and what you're going to do different. And so, Crystal, that podcast tell you how you should handle that. And remember that fake it till you make it. We're getting a little feedback again, Brian, on your audio. So, Phil, Victor, there you go. Lots of suitability questions. Victor, I think suitability questions are particularly tough because the 3 styles of questions are recognition, practical application, and judgment. And almost all the suitability questions are judgment questions where you gotta go. And then there's key pivot words on those suitability questions. So on those judgment questions, Kaplan, I don't know if you're using Kaplan, has a suitability exercise. And then you want to practice what I call that test phraseology or pivot word. So I just did in a tutoring session, we did some suitability, and the question said they were interested in moderate risk. So that means you can toss out the government securities being offered, right? And you toss out the long-term growth fund. So I would use process of elimination, Victor, and then you can typically get it to a 50-50. If you're taking Series 7, Victor, let me know, because I do have a suitability playlist that I will link at 1958. It's 4 videos just on suitability. One of those suitability videos is practice questions. Another one of those videos is it suitable, yes or no? And I forget what my other two. I got 2 more. I don't know. We have 540 videos, so, but I have it there for Victor, and I'll link that for you so you can check that out. Suitability. Now that's assuming you're taking 7. Try 3 a month. I'm not sure what that's about.
3rd attempt.
Oh, there we go. Thank you, Brian. Brian's my translator. Series 66. Thank you. So Series 66. Thank you, Martin. That'll be up as soon as I get done with the live stream overtime session, or if you're in that session, I'll bring it up then. But after, look on our videos and you'll see a video exploitation of it. How do you get tutoring? You go to Dean Tenney Tutoring, deantenneytutoring.setmore.com. And I have a booking page, and you can just see what's available. I'm pretty booked this next couple of weeks. I mean, geez, I'm booked all day tomorrow, all day Friday. Brian also tutors. He's $90 an hour, and you can find him. Do you prefer email, Brian? How do you prefer they find
email? Yeah, Brian at.
Let me put Brian's up there. So there's Brian's email.
Yeah.
And mine is. I guess I should make I don't know if I have a banner.
This week is pretty booked, but next week.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I don't know what's going on. Yeah. Lots of tutoring. So that's Brian. I am my email address, but I use a booking page. Let me just make a banner here real quick for my tutoring. And I'm on the high end, so I'm $225 an hour. So that's why I was telling Cynthia why the free office hour went poof. Because I always tell you on the free stuff, it takes a back seat to the paid stuff. Okay, there you go. So that's how you get a hold of me. Whoop. Let me fix that. That should be. And there's also free office hours there for people who have signed up for either tutoring or classes. And there's also a free live stream overtime. So that's how you get a hold of me. For tutoring. All right, let's see. Taking the Series 7 tomorrow. Last 4 Kaplan results. I like it. It looks good. Right where you need to be. H money. Is it too? Does it feel like it's too late at this point? Well, it is. It is.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, it is. So it's time to. It's time. It's time to get a good night's rest and be thinking about getting that P, as Brian calls it, the pass, making your mark. Happy thoughts. On the mastery is much tougher. So I think it's very likely that you're going to recircle back with us next Tuesday and be a victorious test taker and tell everybody you got it done. I think particularly on the mastery, that's a good score. What do you think, Brian? I think those scores are fantastic.
I like them. I like them a lot. Yeah. No need
to be worried. Eli, man, that 10. Are you going to join me for the 10 class, Eli, or did you already join me? I'm trying to remember where we left it. You get free repeats if you join me for my last 10 class. I am teaching the Series 10 next week, Thursday and Friday. There we go. Coming July. I like it. Gonna make sure to RT. Yeah, there you go. The 10, I think, is one of those real challenging exams because there's a lot of judgment questions. What do you think, Brian? You think? I think it's a slog. I mean,
that's exactly what it is. Well, I think it's application of rules and regs. They already assume you know the rules. Then they make you apply them in situations.
It is.
So yeah, it's a judgment. Yeah.
Tough. I had a guy, I haven't answered him yet, but he was asking, should he take the 57 or 24 next? And I said, why don't you take the 57? And then he asked me why I haven't responded, because I thought it's an easier bite, so to speak. So somebody asked me again about 9 or 10 first. I think 9 is the easier bite to take. But some people do it in either order. And when they get the 10 done first, I feel like, when that works, it's like, oh, hallelujah. All right, cool. So Sasha, I do have some advice with your Kaplan Q Bank. I'll help you with any question from any vendor, but it's just easier when it's Kaplan, as you can see, like Martin, because you can just give me the QID and I can bring it up backstage and see what you're looking at. So I can be more helpful to you as a test taker when you have the Kaplan QBank. The two best paid supplements out there are the Kaplan QBank for about $60 for the Series 7. And the other best paid supplement is in the other side of the screen there, Test Geek Exam Prep LLC. So if you get the Test Geek for about 100, and by the way, I understand some people don't have the resource. I get it. But, you know, if you have the resources, it's not a time to be frugal, and it's not a time to be monogamous. So you can get that done for about 160, and I just think that's a better paid supplement. I know a lot of people use Achievable as a supplement. I'm a big fan of Brandon's Pros, but I'm not such a big fan of the correlation on that. And I just think the Kaplan QBank and the Test Geek is a better supplement if you can only afford, you know, 2 of the 3 or whatever it is. Yeah, where's H Money testing tomorrow? Exactly. I'm with you, Eli. H Money, Eli is right. There's nothing good that can happen doing anything tonight besides getting some sleep. So, you know, I don't know if you're on the East Coast, H Money, but if you're on the East Coast, my God, what is that, 8:30? So that's even more that you should get a good night's rest. So. Well, thank you, Sasha. I call my videos if your vendor lectures aren't working. So I'm glad you're finding them helpful. So yeah, I had to listen. I don't know how to explain this any better. I know there's a lot of videos there. So you should work on the channel from the series playlist. You find your series exam, find your playlist. The videos are suggested watch order. I had 5 people today. Which video should I watch first? I said they're in suggested watch order. It's a buffet. Take what you like, leave what you don't. If there's more than one playlist, the playlists are in suggested watch order. Again, so watch 1 and then 2 and pick what you like. I also highly recommend using the search bar of the channel. So, you know, if you go to the video, you know, carousel, there's 535 videos. It's easier to go into the search bar, put municipals or put margin, and then all those videos that have that content will come up. And that's the way to negotiate around the channel, I think, efficiently. Oscar, are you joining us for the live stream? I have your question that you asked me to look at, and I couldn't pull it up, but I do have your email. So if you join us in the live stream, Oscar, I'll pull that up, and we can look at it there. If not, I'll put it up, you know, on the screen. I'll go over it, but I do have that question. Ready to slay the dragon? You got it. You got it. You're going to pick up the mastery, Oscar. So I think you're going to get it done. Oh, tomorrow. Woohoo. Woohoo. Same thing. Get some rest. 66. Okay. Thank you. I got that. So I got it. 1177602 series 66, Martin. I got it. And I will take care of that for you. Series 7, 60 minutes. I've been surprised how helpful people have found all of it. I have a whole series of your series in 60 minutes. You're certainly not going to, you know, learn anything. I know maybe you will, but I think it helps you get in the flow. So all you people testing tomorrow, I still watch that 60-minute video either tonight or tomorrow morning. We have it for every exam. Again, very popular. Some people say they find it helpful. So check that out. Marcel, hot. Well, Marcel, it's like Houston, right? You guys down there in the South, man. High heat with high humidity. Ugh. Don't melt, Marcel. Don't melt, my friend. Stay indoors. Can I please update? Helen, we have updated the 66 exam. I'm not sure what you're asking. We have a podcast episode. Again, if you go to my podcast playlist, I have the updates on the 66 that you can watch. They're more the cosmetic changes than material changes. And then whoever your test prep vendor usually has an addendum on their dashboard or wherever it is where they tell you about those updates. So I'm not sure what you mean by, can you please update the 66 exam? The 66 new test specifications are out, and I will link at 2925, Helen, to that video. So on the replay at 2925, I will link to my Series 66 update podcast. And again, you could just put that in the search bar and it will come up. Passed the SIE this past Friday. I am scheduled to take the Series 6 on 7.6. Any tips? I'm using AD Banker. Uh-oh. Certainly, Billy, supplement with your Series 6. We have a Reddit community for Series 6 called R Series 6. And I have pinned to the top of that a Knopman practice exam. We have Brian's practice exam. We have a couple Kaplan practice exams. So I would definitely supplement AD Banker with some other exams just to kind of, make sure, you're getting the flavor. What do you think, Brian? Obviously, Brian and I believe in supplements, obviously. But particularly, particularly when it's AD Banker. I just think AD Banker needs supplements more than other test prep vendors.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. I don't think we're ever going to say you don't need a test prep, a supplement. You just go to Eli, just go to Kaplan, kaplanfinancial.com, and go to the Series 10, and you'll see the class schedule. And you can just see Thursday, Friday. You'll see I'm teaching that, and you just register. And then Guru 10 is the discount code at checkout. I'll tell you what I'll do, Eli. I will link at 3106 to the Kaplan link to the Series 10. 3109 Kaplan Series 10. I have trouble doing these questions where it gives you options to tender your preferred. Convert the stock and sell it short. Well, if you convert the stock and selling short, that's usually, Victor, an arbitrage question. Arbitrage is profiting from price discrepancies. And riskless arbitrage means going long and short the same time. And what you're arbitraging is the difference between, the two prices, the stock and the what we call parity. So tender is a little different thing. Tender is when the company is offering you X number of dollars to turn in your preferred stock. But in both those scenarios, what you need to be able to do is calculate parity to decide what you do, because what you're going to do is decide what is worth more money, X number of shares if you convert, or the tender that they're offering you. And your answer would be based on just doing that calculation. For example, I was doing a practice question with somebody the other day, and the
Dean has gone off the grid. He's been having some internet issues here lately. If you don't mind, I guess I can fill in for him while he's gone. It is oftentimes when they ask you about tendering a convertible security. Often I see it as a convertible bond as opposed to convertible preferred. The company's actually trying to force you to convert it into common stock.
There he is. Did I disappear?
I'm your wingman.
There you go. You got me. Thanks, Ryan. You got me. Okay, I'm back. Did you finish answering this for Victor, my friend?
I kind of supplemented, because that's what I do.
Good,
supplemented your answer a little bit.
Okay, great. All right. Well, hey, listen, I always tell people when I'm teaching online, I don't know if we're ever going back to a word where we teach live classes in person, belly to belly. But I always tell my class tomorrow I'm teaching the 66. If I disappear, I'm working my way back to you. I'm trying. I always joke I have the best internet connection you can buy, but it's still Cox cable at the end of the day. So, Carrington, that is so frustrating, that misfortune. I'm with you. I just was talking to a guy just before we went live who was in a very similar situation. And what we did was go over some practice questions. I kind of poked around his brain housing group. And it's really kind of I wish it wasn't this way. We didn't find anything that was majorly wrong, no red flags. And so I would say overlearn it. You just got to bring everything above par. And you're just a little below par. So I guess that's the good news. The bad news is, that third time it's a 6-month wait. So I know how frustrating it is. You just got to be resilient and you got to learn. The way I say it is you got to overlearn everything and bring it above par. So what do you think, Brian?
Can we talk about test taking techniques?
Sure, absolutely. What would you offer?
Oftentimes, I think you and I both agree with this. When we find people that are this close, it's oftentimes not a knowledge deficit. It's a test taking thing. We could start looking at how many answers did you change at the end, right? How do you approach those test questions where there are two very similar answers? Those sorts of things you might want to take a look at as well.
Yeah, Carrington. You know, it's unfortunate, but some people are better test takers than others. And some people intuitively know about test taking techniques. I'm going to post on the replay at 35. I have a video. It's my most popular video on the channel, and it's called Test Taking Tips, Tricks, and Memory Aids. Tips, tricks, and memory aids. And maybe that's helpful for you. Maybe that's helpful. Brian is a huge practitioner of KISS, and I call it Keep It Simple Stupid, but he calls, I think you got another version, right?
Keep It Simple Seattle, because that's
there you go. Keep It Simple Seattle.
I don't like that other word.
There, I agree with you. But anyways, Carrington, it's frustrating. Most employers, I guess the good news too is most employers know that that is the case, that it's not that you didn't work hard. It's not that you weren't disciplined, dedicated, and organized. It's some other thing. And as I'm with Brian, it could be, test taking, anxiety. I had a young lady told me she literally gets physically sick when she takes the test.
Yeah, I mean,
that's tough. That's tough. So I think I would go back to my point. If you can overlearn and you can become more confident, sometimes that can help take care of not only passing, but if it's anxiety or something like that, that can be helpful as well. Well, Brian and I are probably, Ali, a lot less than your accountability partner at work or the test prep vendors. I think if you're in the 70s, mid 70s, you're good to go. But I know that there are other, trainers and test prep vendors much in the 80s or 90s. So I think 70 plus, I'll take it. Right. So that's a margin of safety. The higher, the better. I'm not saying don't get higher. I'm just saying 70 plus. Your thoughts, Brian?
Yeah, exactly. I like the average around 75. From our experience, we know the success rate is well over 90% if you're averaging mid 70s or better if you can. Yeah. Oftentimes when people are told to score in the 80s and 90s, they're then forced to memorize the test prep.
I'm with you, Brian.
And that's not going to do you any good, just memorizing their questions, because we all know they're written differently on the
good point. Very good point. Very good point. I think Brian's spot on that. And the other thing that's a problem with that, Brian, I find that some corporate trainers require that score to move on in terms of the next module. Yeah. And that can be very frustrating, particularly if it's like margin and it's past perfect. You may never get out of margin on past perfect with a 90, even if you do memorize it. So excellent point. So when we're shocked with somebody who's getting the scores that reflect passing and they don't, the first thing I usually ask is, did you memorize questions and answers? Because if you memorize them, then you can't do those judgment questions like earlier. Victor, I think, asked us about those convertible tender questions, and that's not really something you can memorize. That's something you kind of reason your way through, so to speak. So I love Solomon, Steve. Jeremy Solomon is a great guy. I'm a big fan of Jeremy and his content. He's not is used by many test prep people, test takers, for whatever reason. He recently has sold out to the same holding company that owns Past Perfect, and I hope that he enjoys whatever money he got. I'm sure it was quite a piece of change. And he also, Steve, I should disclose, he refers tutoring people to me, so that's another reason I love Jeremy. Every once in a while I get a tutoring assignment, and it's Jeremy doing that. So I think you're not at risk, Steve, with Solomon. I think Solomon's a fine test prep vendor. They're just not as popular for whatever reason. I don't know, not doing commercial.
Portland, Oregon.
What's that?
He's from Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, I was just going to say, he's in your neck of the woods.
Pacific Northwest.
Good up there, from what I heard.
It is, but you're right. It's quiet. You don't hear a lot from him and his company for some reason.
Yeah. The quiet company. I'm taking the 6, then taking the 63 3 days later. I feel real confident on the 6. I don't want to try and stay 63, but am I crazy to take them so close? No, I don't think so. It can be done. I used to hand brokers a book and say, read this and go test. Your thoughts, 63, 3 days on the 63?
I'll never forget. I used to have so many people who came into my remember the Kaplan days when we did the 2.5 6 and then a half day 63 on top of it. And then the very next day, we'd have students taking both exams on the same day. And I'd say, no, please don't do that. Please don't do that. I would just like to, as far as you can stretch those two out, the better. 3 days shouldn't be bad for the 63 if you have enough time to study it. I'd like it 5 days, but 3 will work.
Hey, Teresa, Brian just brought up the good old days of
Oh, God.
and I have a video, Brian, called the Mighty 90. And what I did in the Mighty 90, Teresa, I'll post it at 40 minutes on the replay. I took the half day 63 class, Brian, and said, can I teach the 63 class on the Uniform Securities Act in 90 minutes?
Oh, my.
And I did. I squeezed it all in there. So another very popular video, Teresa, I highly recommend. I just had a guy today who tested. I don't want you to put your career at risk. I do think somebody could watch that, Teresa, and pass the 63 after watching the video. Listen, do I want you to risk your career? I do not. But anyways, he said he watched it the morning of, and he said brought a lot of stuff together, and it really helped him. So I'll post that for you. But I think 3 days is doable, and then you're done. The good news about being aggressive and testing sooner rather than later, two things, you're done, and then you can get on with your life. The other thing, you don't have time to kind of overthink it, so there's a certain amount of urgency in a good way. So I like it. Sasha, for the Kaplan QBank ID or Past Perfect, email the question to me. I'll put my email. If it's Past Perfect, you got to cut and paste it because I can't see backstage at Past Perfect, but I can see backstage at Kaplan. So if it's a Kaplan question, all you have to do is just send me the QID. There's my email, and I'm more than happy to help you out on it. More than happy. What I typically do, like I told Martin, is I make a little video explanation of it, and I post the video to the channel and send you a copy. Send you a copy or send you a link. Okay. Yeah, you can ask any question by email. I mean, any question about, so Sasha, I'm not talking to you in, particularly, but in general, the answer is yes. But listen, there's over 2 million views and almost 20,000 subscribers. And I literally today get a little frustrated because I got like 8 people sending me emails about, career guidance. And I'm not in the career counseling business. I'm into helping people pass their exams. So I'm not saying I won't respond, but, if it's about test taking and passing a test, more than happy to that. And I try. I apologize because, I used to be really good at keeping on top of emails, but now, sometimes things fall through the crack because I first answer emails from test takers and then I answer how does the universe work, questions. Absolutely, Billy. Absolutely. I recommend you buy the Kaplan QBank. It's a great paid supplement, and Guru 10 is the discount code at checkout. 7 QBanks, about $60. I think it's a great investment. Third time's a charm, indeed. Yeah, it's on the channel. Just you go to the 63 playlist. It's called the Mighty 90. I'll post it in the replay for you to find, but you can find it right there. I think Oscar, you asked me this. I've tried a couple times to answer this for you. Brian, you want to do it? All right, I'm giving Brian the stage here.
My YouTube channel, which is not anywhere near as successful as Dean's, our business models are different. But anyway, I just posted a video on discounted cash flow and internal rate of return. So on the YouTube channel, it's like 15 minutes. I think it's perfect for both the 65 and the 66.
I will post the link to that for you, Oscar. In fact, I think, Oscar, I have you joining me for the overtime. I think I have your email. I'll actually send you the email link for it as well.
And I'd love to hear feedback on it and what you think. Again, if it's the 66, you probably have a 1 or 2 specifically on IRR, probably 2 or 3 on the discounted cash flow. Series 65, it's probably 1 and 1 discounted cash flow IRR. Probably a couple of more for 66, but I think it's great. I think you like it.
Yeah, and the other thing, Oscar, the one that shows up a lot is the bonds yield to maturity is most similar to, and you come with the internal rate of return, right?
Yeah.
So if you buy a bond and it has a yield to maturity of 8.5, that's similar to that. Yeah, you got to have your spirits. Spirits up are good. Okay, here's this Martin question. Bond with par value of 1,000. Coupon rate of 6, paid semi-annually, selling for 1,200. The bonds is callable in 15 years at 105. In the computation of the bond's yield to call, which of the following would be a factor? So I didn't ask you to do it, but remember, you're going to lose 1,200 to 105. So you're going to lose $150 to the call. So you would take 105, divide by 15, and that would be the adjustment, what you're going to lose each year. That's called the prorated interest, the adjusted interest. Then you're going to take the average price of the bond, Martin. So you paid for the bond at $1,200. The 1,000, so divide by 2, that's 1,100. So you're going to take the adjusted interest, you're going to divide by the average price, and even then you don't get yield to call. You get the approximation of the bond's yield to call. The test question is actually that this bond, you need to quote the yield to call. So I just walked you through that formula, Martin. And so you can now answer the question because it just asked you what would be a factor. So I just gave you everything that's a factor. The factor is you're getting $60, but you're losing $150 each year for 15 years. 150 divided by 15. You minus that from the $60. That's the adjusted interest. You then take the 1,200 and 1,000, or excuse me, 1,200 and 1,000 divide by 2. You get 1,100. And you can see Brian's frustration with me even entertaining this question. And you notice he's not going to his whiteboard because he thinks I just stole 5 minutes of everybody's life that they're never getting back. Right, so.
Oh, dang God. Dude.
I, Martin, would guess you're using past perfect.
Yes.
My other thing, Martin, I would tell you is that Brian and I do disagree about what question we should answer. But I will tell you that on social media, if you're in our Reddit communities, when people don't give me the answer set and they don't give me the rationale, I'm like, listen, it's not my job to do your homework for you. So I want to see what you attempted to answer. What was the test prep vendor's rationale? And then, I can be a little more helpful. So anyways, I'll tell you what I'll do, Martin. I will post at 46:57. I will actually do that math in the video description for you. I will show you the math.
We have become very good at reading body language, haven't we, Dean?
Yeah, I could tell. Yeah, I can tell you're disgusted.
It's hard for me to hide those feelings. Nonverbal communication, it's a must.
All right. Well, listen, did we get everybody's questions answered? Is it already time for a drawing? I don't see anything else in the chat. Did I miss anybody? I'm going to get out of here a little early. For those of you who are registered for the live stream, we take usually a 15-minute break, but we'll be reconvening at 6:15 if you're joining that for us. Last call here before we call it a night. Anybody got anything else? All right, let me get the giveaway tool up and running. Boom. Anybody have any, what do you think, Brian? You got a text? What should we put in the chat for the drawing? The drawing is, by the way, for a 30-minute coaching call. I just finished a tutoring session before we got started, and he was working hard. I said, listen, I don't give tutoring away for free, but I do give coaching calls away, and I'm going to give you a coaching call. So
there's another one. That's a good one.
30 minutes on whatever
there
you
it
like.
is, right there.
All right. Want kiss or hot? What do you want to do, Brian? Kiss or
Let's
hot?
do kiss. I like it.
All right, kiss. Okay, so now let me bring that up. If you would like to participate in the, I got to go get this thing. Now, let me see, share screen. Boom, and let's make this, get rid of Oscar there. And let's make that full. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes, we can.
All right, so put in your kiss. We're 14 entries. Anybody else? By the way, one other point. You can assign the coaching call to someone else. So if you are a victorious test taker and you're just hanging out, thanks for hanging out with us. And if you don't need the coaching call, you can give the link to whoever you'd like to have it. You also can share it. If you want to share the coaching call, you can share that with whoever you'd like. The coaching call is recorded. And then I replay it on the channel for other folks who either can't afford tutoring or aren't fortunate enough to get the coaching call. The first I've seen of Erica, so Erica's here for the
I saw her too. Yeah.
All right, last call. By the way, Trina, Erica, it doesn't matter how many times you put the kiss in there; it only picks up one, so you don't increase your odds by putting that over. All right, here's the drawing. Time to draw. Whoop, I got to draw over here.
The drum roll, please.
Teresa, woohoo. Now, Teresa, are you taking, I think you're taking the 60. Were you the one who said like 3 days later you're taking the 63, I think?
Wow, there you go.
So there you go. Maybe we can.
Is that karma or what?
Yeah. I jinxed you. I'm sorry, Eric. I didn't mean to jinx you. All right. So, Teresa, now what you do to claim your prize is you need to send me an email at Dean, the Series 7 Guru, and say you were the winner. And then what I do is send you the link for your coaching call. I'm pretty busy, so I'll give you where I can fit you in, and we'll come up with a time that works for you and me, and we will do that coaching call. So send me an email, Dean the Series 7 Guru at gmail.com, and we will claim your prize. And then tomorrow I'll be in touch with you about how we take care of that. All right, let's just check chat. Any more things? I don't think. I think that's it. Okay, so remember, inch by inch, your exam is a cinch. Yard by yard, your exam is hard. Brian?
You know how to keep it simple? Stay with what you know. You take the test. Don't let the test take you.
All right, everybody. See you next Tuesday, 5 p.m. Las Vegas time. Bye-bye.